No ship. No crew. How are we gonna get out of this one?
We will find hope in the impossible.
Well, at least I won't die alone.
All right, I've seen enough. Start the show!
Welcome to Cordkillers, our mission to brief you on the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so that you, my friends, can decide, do I want to cut the cord? Do I not want to cut the cord? How do I watch what I want, when I want, where I want, on whatever device I want? That's what we're trying to help you decide. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey, man, I'm Brian Brushwood, and congratulations on our century episode. 100 episodes of cord killing.
Did it. We can quit now.
We're far from mission
never
accomplished.
Stopping.
Dude, the genocide of cords has only begun. We've murdered 100, and there's so many more to go.
A century of, that's not really a century, but hey, how about that Star Trek trailer? It's like Fast and the Furious in space. I'm so excited.
Okay, here's the weird part. Watching it a second time, there's actually a lot to like about the visuals of this. I think the characters are good. We've already said great things about the way they've handled the reboot of the Star Trek franchise. I gotta tell you, if I was gonna point to one reason that this has become like the much pilloried, people. Here we are in the. First of all, there's the contrast of here we are in the shadow of Star Wars, and you're going to release to us another J.J. Abrams project in a very different universe with a different set of rules and try to get us excited about it. We're going to contrast. We're going to see one versus the other. We're going to see one early trailer versus the polished stuff we're getting for Star Wars. Second of all, I really think it's a problem. I get it. Yes, Captain Kirk loves Beastie Boys in this world. That's awesome. But let's not use the exact same song we used to promote the first Star Trek movie. No. That is what I think. It just feels too familiar and it feels too cheesy. And I think that's what geeks are freaking out about.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're at war. It's election year coming up. You have to pick a side. Are you one of the people who loves the Star Trek Beyond trailer? Or are you one of the people who hates the Star Trek Beyond trailer? There does not seem to be much middle ground out there. Let's ask our guest what he thinks. Hammond Chamberlain joining us today. How are you, Hammond?
Good, guys. How are you?
Dude, thank you so much for coming back. I feel like it's been too long. Every time it's like an uncle that I really meant to see 5 times over the last 3 months.
Well, I appreciate that. And as far as my thoughts on the Star Trek thing, I like it, except for Spock's hair seems really, really weird and hair PC.
I think it always did. Maybe they're accentuating that because I don't think I don't think Zachary Quinto has a billion other things going on, and he couldn't bother to have Spock hair.
It looked like a helmet that he was wearing there in that one scene where he got beamed up.
I think it's true. I think it sticks out a little. I noticed it too. But maybe it's just because in the original series, everything is a little old fashioned. And so it doesn't stick out as much. Whereas in this like slick, Fast and the Furious take, that seems a little anachronistic maybe.
Yeah, it may be. That and the motorcycle.
Yeah, more motorcycles.
Again, it's pretty. There's lots to work with there. I think some wing of this, it could be a great movie, but some wing of it packaged it at the wrong time for 1, with the wrong music for 2, and number 3 with insufficient story. We're in an age, especially in the Star Trek franchise, we want to know story elements, not just see flash and trash, because we've seen that in a million other things.
I mean, once it came out this morning, my Twitter feed was filled with, on the one hand, one person that I love and respect saying, I'm more excited about this than Star Wars, like legitimately meaning it. And on the other hand, another person who I love and respect saying this is a piece of trash. Why did they do this?
And so where do you land in this spectrum?
I was skeptical watching it. I'm like, it seems like they're over-actioning it. And then what's funny is by the end of it, I was like, maybe. So I'm kind of landing where you are, Brian, which is like I was put off. But then at the end, like, well, maybe I'm judging it too quickly. I do like these characters and the idea of seeing them again. I just need to see another trailer.
Yeah, and again, it's like I reserve judgment for a future date, but I will not fault anyone who hates it because there's a lot to hate in here.
Yeah, I won't fault anyone who loves it either, though.
I will.
That's that's because
So you're a
were full of
fanboy.
hate.
Put away your pom poms, take off that skirt, and get back in the locker room. You're
I'm gonna
benched.
I promise to you, this is my solemn promise that on Thursday night at 7 p.m. when I go to the theater, I will wear a shirt that has the Star Wars font and says Star Trek.
Right on. Hey, why can't we all just get along, man?
Let's move on to the primary target. All right, so a couple of different articles here from Wall Street Journal, Fortune, eMarketer study out. I think we're taking stock. A lot of times in the primary target, we're taking stock of where are we in this cord-cutting world? How is this doing? Because we as consumers want it to do well so we get more choice. eMarketer estimates that by 2019, so 4 years from now, 23% of U.S. households will have no traditional TV. So no cable, no satellite, no broadcast, or maybe broadcast, but they will be relying on something else for their TV than the traditional ways. Now, Wall Street Journal says that by the end of this year, eMarket says that 17% will be without traditional TV. So that's only a rise of 6% over the next 4 years. And I feel like that's a little bit of an aggressive estimate by eMarketer for the current year. But we've got some interesting thoughts from Logan Hill, who's a TV critic for the Wall Street Journal, and interviewed 4 different people in the industry about the future of television in light of these numbers. So before we get to these quotes, because I want to play what do you think of this quote? We've got 4 of them. Let's start off, Brian, with what do you think of that number, 23%?
I mean, first of all, I'm thrilled that we're at the point we are right now. I'm shocked that 23% by 4 years from now just doesn't seem like a lot. However, keep in mind that our real goal, and we're a position podcast. I think it's fair to say, we're here because what we care about is watching what you want, when you want, on whatever damn device you please. We don't need to be a majority in order to get what we want. What we need is enough of a market position that the big companies, the giants, feel threatened enough that they start giving us options that we actually like. And we're already seeing that. We're seeing a la carte options. We're seeing Dish put out stuff like Sling TV and so on. And so with that being the case, I mean, I think 23% is a big enough market share that we're going to start seeing options that are exactly what we want. And in that regard, if we're 4 years away from market pressure causing all these evil giants to start doing the right thing, then I'm down for it.
Hammond, what do you think of these numbers, 23%?
They seem a little lofty just because I feel like the major cable companies have still very much a strong hold on the traditional mode of TV delivery and that convenience that people like my parents across the board, those boomers who are watching a lot of TV now, still that's how they get their stuff. They don't understand, working through Hulu and iTunes and Apple TV and all those things yet. It's still one of those things where they come over to my house and well, show me how to work all these remotes and how to get to my shows. So I think as long as the boomers are the primary target still in many cases, I think that we're going to be, it seems a little lofty.
All right, let's look at these quotes to Logan Hill. First of all, president of AMC Networks, makers of The Walking Dead, etc., Josh Sappin said, before the current generation, the term TV show meant something a little dumb. And so you can say there are too many shows relative to the economics of the old system. But with the new system, I would not say there are too many shows. Brian, what say you to that?
It's legit. What he's really talking about is the continuous diversification, the fact that we have this nonstop branching, and there's 2 sides to this coin. On the one hand, you can dominate a niche with a very specific show. If you want a werewolf bounty hunter sci-fi epic, then you could be the best werewolf bounty hunter sci-fi epic in all of history. But the downside of that is you're going to have exactly 23 people watching you, as opposed to the good old days of only 3 channels, and whatever you shoved on at 7 p.m. would get a few million viewers live.
Hammond, peak TV, not enough?
I agree with Brian on this one. I feel like there are plenty of options out there, but how many people are going to find your option and then watch your option and pay to watch your option on whatever app you decide to use it on? That's all kind of relative.
Yeah, I think it becomes like books myself. We don't regret that there are too many good books out there. It's a good problem to have. And when none of us have time to read all the books that we want to, or at least people who like to read. So I think TV has actually got to the point where it can almost say the same thing. Maker Studios president Anand Kreitz says, no matter what device you use, the big advantage is the freedom to make those choices. I see a golden age of television that's less about apps or channels and more about the when and where. Hammond. I don't know why I wanted to call you Alexander Hamilton because you just have so much gravitas.
I fully agree with this, and I think this is probably one of the smartest quotes I've heard in a long time about this shift. Is the fact that now it's not a matter of finding things. It's a matter of and having good shows. It's a matter of there are good shows and people are making them convenient and available for people to watch.
Yeah, unfortunately, that opens up the fact that, one of the things that the old system made very, very easy was discovery. When there's only 3 channels, it's very easy to get your show discovered. Nowadays, there's some extraordinarily high quality content out there that's buried in a not often viewed Vimeo channel or out there. There's some YouTube. There's the next, best Walter Cronkite out there, and he's got exactly 12 subscribers on his YouTube channel. That is the downside. And now, unfortunately, it takes either money or popularity in order to push that kind of thing forward. And you can't get one without the other, it seems like nowadays.
Lachlan Murdoch, executive chairman of 21st Century Fox. That's the spinoff from the big Fox empire that does the TV and movies, says, in a world of limitless choice, mediocrity is death. That's kind of what you were just saying, Brian.
Dude, and this is the truest quote of the entire thing, is like the mushy middle is never a good place to be in a time of revolution, and that is definitely what we're experiencing in the quality of video arts right now. You could be an early pioneer in something, and you can not really know what you want to be, but you know that you're first, and as a result, you have a mushy niche. That is no longer the case in the 70-year history of video entertainment. Now we are at a place where the market is so very, very mature. You have to be extraordinary. You have to know exactly who you're talking to and exactly what you have to say.
Hammond, what do you think?
I think this is exactly dead on. And I think that even some of the Netflix originals are great examples of this. They're the standouts, the Daredevils, the Bloodlines, those things. And then there's those ones that came out that were kind of, mediocre. And people don't talk about those. And they didn't get renewed. They didn't get more than they deserved.
Yep.
Max Cohen, head of mobile at Oculus Rift, says, down the line, we'll get full-length VR movies. When you're the star and interact with all the characters, we'll get a 360-degree camera at the end of the piano at a Billy Joel concert where it feels like he's singing to you.
Let me just state for the record that I think there are tremendous opportunities in VR content. I think that this is a largely unexplored territory. When I spoke about undeveloped niches, I was thinking specifically about this one. And that's all I could say right now, outside of, to give full disclosure, that I may or may not be involved with a virtual reality project.
But outside of that, I mean, your opinion, do you think that virtual reality movies eventually 10 years down the road will be the common thing that he's saying?
Yeah. Here's what I predict will happen. And I don't have any, I'm not God. I don't create the future. But what's going to happen is somebody's going to be recording a video reality thing, and they're going to be creating a report. And then you're going to be staring at a guy giving a report, and you're going to see the horror in their eyes. You're going to hear an explosion behind you. You're going to turn around just in time to see a tanker explode, and you're going to realize you've had a life-altering moment just then, and that you need to go back and play it again and watch from the other angle and stuff. Once those clips go out and once we see that you can experience stuff in VR that you could not experience, no matter in, 2K, 4K, 8K, 25K or whatever, it doesn't make it any more real. Once you have that experience of immersion, I think a new branch of entertainment is going to start. And I suspect it'll be a lot like video games. Video games in the early days, easy emotions to create are fear and laughter, which is why in 1992, 93, that's when you got Doom trying to scare you. That's when you got Day of the Tentacle trying to make you laugh. And it wasn't until 20-something years later that you had games like The Walking Dead making you cry or The Last of Us making you cry. Those nuanced emotions are down the road for VR. But in the meantime, I think it's an exciting, exciting time.
Hammond, is the future of VR scary comedies?
I actually was just thinking about how a found footage horror movie would be probably one of the first things that this does, because it puts you into the situation directly, and you could interact with that environment. I'm not sure. I might sound like a fuddy-duddy, but I don't know if this is something I'm going to be into. But we'll see when it gets here.
Man, just think if the Blair Witch folks had been out in that woods with a 360-degree camera.
Oh my God, how great would that be?
I could have wiped her nose.
Yeah.
Dude, well, and by the way, that's the kind of entertainment that I suspect VR will really lend itself to is you're going to need actors who can act out an entire scene without any breaks, because transitions, I suspect, and again, there's not enough of it to really know anything, transitions will be distracting, whereas if you could feel like you're there for essentially a 90-minute play and it's nonstop and they nail every line and every cue hits and there's not a single branch breaking that occurs at the wrong time or whatever, I think that is what it's going to have to take to capture that perfect performance of a live flash mob experience.
And
if
then
you
I
want to
could reach
capture
up and
the
move
perfect
the boom mic.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah,
Reach up and move the boom mic out of the way.
Correct.
Yeah, the boom mic has to hide behind a tree or something. I mean, I guess you can digitally process that stuff out, but that's difficult. What isn't difficult is supporting this show, ladies and gentlemen. If you have $1, do you have $1? Are you willing to give it to us so that we can keep doing the show? It's not a threat, Brian, but we kind of want their $1.
Yeah. Look, we want your $1, and more importantly, a lot of people don't realize how much we lean on the goodness of our patrons out there. We are at 1,945 patrons. Not gonna lie, we've seen a bit of a drop off from 1 year ago. I know we're 100 episodes in, but we're doing our best to feed you guys some of the best and latest information in the cord cutting revolution. And we do have expenses, and it means the world if you guys could pledge just $1 an episode. That's all we ask. You guys don't even feel it at the end of the month, but it means everything to us. So if you guys enjoy the show, please, please, please head on over to patreon.com/cordkillers. And why don't you join the revolution? Just kick us a few nickels and it'll keep us afloat.
Otherwise, I will not transition us to signals intelligence.
Okay, you don't need to take them hostage. You can just, I'll do it.
Please,
Let's go to
please,
signals
Tom. Thank you,
intelligence. Thank you.
Somebody gave $1 right then. That's the only
good.
reason.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Clarence.
Hey, this may be the last time we ever do a story like this. For a couple of years now, we've been saying, well, first it was Netflix got an Emmy nomination for House of Cards, or Netflix got a couple of Golden Globe nominations. Last year, it was Jeffrey Tambor won a Golden Globe for Amazon. This year, the Golden Globes are lousy with cord cutting services. Amazon got 5 nominations. Netflix got 8. Even Hulu got 1. Casual got nominated for Best Comedy. And we're seeing him in House of Cards, Orange is the New Black. Narcos got a Best Drama nod. Also, Wagner Moura, who plays Escobar, got a Best Actor nomination. Amazon got a couple for Transparent, couple for Mozart in the Jungle. Actually, 3 for Transparent. So it's happened. When HBO came on the scene and everyone said, "Oh my gosh, HBO got nominations for awards," it was a big deal, and now it's just normal. Next year it'll start to feel normal.
I'm just really glad that we've leapfrogged, or largely leapfrogged, the equivalent of the Cable Ace Awards. You remember the Emmys used to not recognize cable dramas and so on, so they
Right.
created the Cable Ace Awards as their own little ghetto. And
We
then
did
finally,
we have the Streamies and the International Academy of Web Television Awards, but those very much focus on YouTube-y type things.
correct, which
versus
tells me
this kind of stuff.
that this chapter ends when we see, and I do believe it'll happen. It might even happen within the next year. We're at that time of the year where we all love to make predictions. Wouldn't be surprised if 2016 was the year that a major award institution like the Golden Globes or the Emmys or you name it named a YouTube series. Like, that seems like the end of bridging the gap of where we don't care what it's on. If it's good, it belongs here.
Hammond, what do you think of this? I mean, in a certain point of view, you could throw HBO on this list too, because HBO now is a perfectly legitimate way for people to watch these HBO shows, which are also nominated in large numbers. Does this feel normal now?
Actually, it does. And I was just thinking about how big of a deal it was when The Sopranos and some of these shows that were on HBO were getting nominated for these major awards. And there is a lot of talk and a lot of conversation about that. Now it seems as if it's just part of the standard fare. I mean, if it's good, people get nominated. And I think that, last year it was probably a little bit of a bigger deal because it really it was a new thing. But I think this year everyone accepts that, Netflix and Amazon and Hulu all create relatively high quality shows, and they're only getting better.
And realize real quick for somebody out there who's a naysayer, and that's fine if you're a naysayer, you're probably right. But take something like High Maintenance, something that was a Vimeo exclusive, little 10-minute vignettes that now has a partnership with HBO. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
And so now they qualify for that kind of things as they continue to create more programming. You can't tell me that there's not going to be YouTube content that doesn't do a similar deal to that, and all of a sudden we're seeing YouTube properties that are showing up on these things.
Yeah, and Netflix crossing over into the movie side. Remember, Golden Globes does TV and movies at the same time. So we've got Idris Elba getting a nomination for Best Supporting Actor in a movie drama for Beasts of No Nation on Netflix. You've also got Lily Tomlin in there getting Grace and Frankie Best Actress nomination. You got Aziz Ansari, Master of None. Bryce turned us on to it on this very show.
I was surprised it got nominated so quickly after it came out.
Yeah, and I guess it made the deadline. Yeah. It came out just in time, and he's got a Best Actor for Comedy nomination. So pretty crazy. Mozart in the Jungle, rave reviews, and of course Transparent.
I mean, I think we're seeing the death of the talent gap right here is what's going on. I think it's become clear that that in the off cable, in the I guess online space, you can expect to see every bit. It reminds me, and not to go back to mention The Shield again, but remember it was news when Glenn Close showed up on The Shield. It was news when Forrest Whitaker showed up on The Shield. Like, oh my God, the ghettos of cable television is an award-winning actress. We're just beyond that now, for the most part. I mean, it'll be more, and again, I think the last, and I know your wife works for YouTube, but the last bastion is YouTube. YouTube still has the cat video stink about it in the artistic.
It's got a stigma.
Circles. What's that?
It's just got a stigma about it. YouTube just has a stigma that it's going to take some time to grow out of and shake off, or maybe because of the YouTube Red, maybe they can separate themselves out from the cat video stink and create this other.
I think it's a generational thing at this point. I think everybody older than me thinks it's cat videos. I think everybody younger than me thinks it's the only thing to watch, and then that's that.
And there's a little bit of basic cable around it now. If we've moved above the smell of cats, it has moved above to the idea of, oh, well, Grace Helbig is great, or the Fine Brothers are hilarious, but you also those are the comedies that you might see on a Comedy Central back in the old days, which you wouldn't see getting nominated for Golden Globes. So they're going to have to step up the serious drama, the high production value comedies, the kinds of things that they are making from YouTube Originals for YouTube Red subscribers that'll be coming out in 2016. My wife actually worked with the Fine Brothers on Sing It, which is one of the forthcoming things. I got a peek at the set. It's pretty awesome looking. I don't think it's going to get a Golden Globe, but it's definitely going to move them farther away from the cats. And I think the way you see YouTube get in here, Brian, is if YouTube actually does follow through on that rumor we heard of acquiring shows from Hollywood studios and maybe incorporate some of these YouTube stars in an Orange is the New Black or a House of Cards or something, that level of production.
That's actually a really interesting idea, because we've seen Yahoo buy some credibility by picking up Community. We've seen it with Arrested Development and Netflix. Why not have YouTube save a beloved property and bring it back as a YouTube original? That seems like a very easy thing for them to do.
The Golden Globes Awards come to NBC, which you can get with your antenna on January 10th.
It's adorable.
Gear
adorable.
Veritable cornucopia of Apple TV news this week. We found that Eddie Q actually admitted there are more than 2,000 apps in the Apple TV App Store already. We had an analysis from appfigures.com that about half those apps are games. The most downloaded apps, though, are entertainment. 38 of the top 50 downloads are entertainment. Games is second, followed by news and sports. 39% of the apps available are paid apps. The majority are $2.99 or less. Apple named their apps of the year for all their platforms. For Apple TV, they named HBO Now as the number 1 and Rayman Adventures as number 2. And we got the news that Siri now supports music on Apple TV, so you can control music with your voice. And Eddie Q said that an app with Siri support would be coming for iOS in the first half of 2016. And you Apple TV UK fans should know that BBC iPlayer is now live as an app on the new Apple TV App Store.
Quick correction, because I think you were reading it horizontally instead of vertically. I believe both Rayman and HBO Now were runners-up for different categories. The number ones in both of those, you scroll back up there, Bryce, and you can throw that on the screen so I can read it. But I believe the number 1 are 2 things I haven't heard of.
The Robot Factory is pretty cool.
Talk about that one. What is it?
It's just an app that you build and you experiment and test robots.
HBO Now is a runner-up for iPad. That's what you're looking at.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
If you go down in the article, you'll see the Apple TV.
I see. Okay, all right. I stand corrected. I looked at the picture because I'm not very bright and I don't know how to read words, which is why you're on the program. Thank you very much. Hey, man. So a couple of things. Should it be on the one hand, it's disheartening for me to see that most of the apps are games because I don't regard Apple TV as a legitimate game platform. I don't think that's a very good idea. But if you don't have deals in the video industry, if you don't have any content that people want, but you sense an opportunity to be first and to port something over, then yeah, that seems like the smart play for your business to make. So it does make sense that a majority of the apps would be attempts to break into the gaming category. On the flip side, as far as what people actually want, it's actually very heartening to see that the most popular downloads are video entertainment apps, because that, after all, is what the core brand of this device is. It's for you to watch what you want, when you want, on your one device, according to our rules, which is 2/3 of the way towards our goal. So I got to tell you, all of this seems like a win for Apple, as far as I could tell.
Yeah, I mean, this is turning into a good app store. I'd like to see more usage statistics, that kind of thing. It's still early days for that, I guess. Hammond, does any of this make you want an Apple TV new generation more than not?
It's on my Christmas list, and I'm truly, truly hoping that someone has listened to me beg and plead to get one, because I think this might end up being the device I use the most, because if it has an app store, then you can get some of these channels and things that are kind of limited on the original. And it gives me access to all my iTunes catalog as well. Like, I love the Roku, but I don't get to my iTunes stuff with the Roku. And I would like to be able to get access to those things as well.
Now, we've been hearing rumors about an Apple TV streaming service for years, since Walter Isaacson came out with his book about Steve Jobs, where Steve Jobs says they've cracked it. And usually, of late, the news comes from CBS CEO Les Moonves, who just likes to talk about stuff. And last week he said, oh yeah, Apple pressed the hold button on that. It will happen eventually because, quote, people will not be spending money on channels they don't want to watch.
And just so people can put this in the right category of their mind, when they're talking about an Apple streaming service, we're talking about something along the lines of a Sling TV, right? Where they make their own deals with everyone and
right.
Put together.
In other words, Apple providing you a service with which you could watch television. And we don't know if it would look like Sling TV or PlayStation View or some kind of Netflix stacked thing. I don't know. But the idea was Apple will do a cable killer.
You know what? I'm getting to the point where I almost believe we'll see an Apple Car before we see this come out. I mean, sure, it's in the hopper of ideas they want to try, but I think their connections and forgive me, this is entirely a consumer perspective. I have no reason to say this, but I think some of the shine is dulling on the Apple logo, and as a result, I think their ability to bully people into sweet deals, the way they did with the original iTunes launch, I think is diminished, and so I don't think we're going to see this anytime soon. Or let me put it this way: I'm not holding my breath, and I don't need to hold my breath because we're getting to have an amazing buffet of options to not have to deal with that.
I would love to see Apple's take on this and have a nice slick interface that would make it really easy to watch the things I want to watch. Peter Kafka at Recode says they can't get the networks to agree to slim down the bundles, and they're insistent on that. Hammond, do you think they should loosen up and provide us a more traditional thing just so we can get the interface?
I kind of wish that Apple would go ahead and just take the initial plunge and get something started, because then once they can prove that it's a moneymaker and that they can make people happy, then they can start trimming down some of the fat. You can get the Fox stuff and you can trim down some of the things or make options out of some of the things that people just don't spend much time watching, because then you can have the metrics to prove to them, hey, no one's watching your Fox-based cooking channel.
Yeah. All right. We'll take a quick break here. And if you folks are building a website, you need to pick up this VHS tape, How to Build a Website, hosted by myself and Sumi Das from No, that's not what I should be. Hey, I write books, TomMerrittBooks.com. But you know what I'm really excited about is the fact that I have been watching the Star Wars movies every week and doing Pretend I'm Dumb About Star Wars. The idea being, even though I have watched these a million times and I love Star Wars, I try to approach the movie as if I've never seen it before. And so I describe my impressions starting with episode 1, because I'm dumb. It says 1. That would be the one I should start with, right? Yep. I don't know machete orders. And so I have watched all 6 movies. All 6 commentaries are up there on TomMerritt.com. Look for PIDASW. You can get them on YouTube. You can get them as an MP3 download and listen to them. And I'll be doing it on Saturday after my second viewing of The Force Awakens.
Tom, can I tell you this is the first one that I've watched all of the Pretend I'm Dumb About Star Wars, and I loved it. It was so much
thanks,
fun.
man.
I loved your steadfast refusal to call anyone by their character names. It was so oddly reminiscent of an actual episode of Spoiler in Time between the two of us.
I feel like Spoiler in Time trained me for how to do this, because I'm like, I don't ever remember these people's names, so I'm not going to remember them if I've never seen it before.
I actually have been subscribing and truly enjoying it. It's been some of my favorite podcast listening of the last few weeks. So congratulations on that.
Awesome.
Thank you. TomMerritt.com, PIDASW. Pretend I'm Dumb About Star Wars if you're interested in checking it out. Let's move on to the front lines.
Front lines.
Hey, Verizon Fios TV service customers can now stream, quote, nearly all of their DVR recorded shows anywhere with an internet connection, not just inside their house. So it's nearly as good as setting up a Slingbox. Verizon likes things that are almost something, like Fios TV's director Maitri Krishnaswamy, who said on a TV of Tomorrow conference panel that she has pretty much cut the cord. She was trying to talk up Verizon's Go 90 service, which, by the way, the other 2 panelists who are younger hadn't tried yet, but they said they would.
Dude, man, it sounds like Verizon is almost onto something across the board. It seems like they're trying to obey the 80-20 rule.
Yeah. The DVR thing, when you compare it to Comcast, is revolutionary. Like, wow, I can stream them anywhere. But when you compare it to what you could do yourself, or even what TiVo does with the TiVo Stream, it's still kind of lacking.
Yeah, man. Tell you what, AT&T Chairman and CEO Randall Stephenson told an investor conference last week that AT&T is planning to launch its own mobile entertainment service. He also said that in January, AT&T will launch a premium content package that will offer mobile stacked content together with a really robust wireless asset. He also said they would offer proprietary content through DirecTV or mobile, and possibly in cooperation with the joint venture Otter Media, which has a majority stake in Full Screen Digital.
I mean, if I'm reading this right, Brian, what he said is, we own a bunch of TV through DirecTV and a bunch of wireless through phones, so we're going to do all that.
Yeah, well, and on the one hand, this is a terribly worded an announcement, or just convoluted. It doesn't make clear. Like, I think what he meant to say, and I think I'm going to take an extension on here. I think what he meant to express is that they're in a unique position because by owning DirecTV, they can now pull a Dish thing. You know, it was Dish that brought us Sling TV because they had nothing to lose and they had a few licenses and they're like, let's do something crazy. Now AT&T, because they have a similar wide variety of services and agreements that allow you to distribute content through various ways, is in a position to try that kind of thing. Would that be reading it right?
I hope.
I mean, that's all me speculating.
The Hollywood Reporter story mentions Go 90, so it sounds like AT&T would like to compete with that, which I don't know why they would want to compete with that, except maybe they think it's going to drive their phone sales. But it sounds like it sounded to me like they don't really know that they're like, we could do a Sling TV thing. We could also do a phone Go 90 thing, and we're going to do things, and you'll find out in January. So I am actually, Brian, I'm hoping you're right that in January what they announce is some kind of Sling TV competitor, and I hope it's not somehow stupidly tied to AT&T wireless service.
Yeah, that's one of the weird things is I'm having a real Frankenstein experience with AT&T. The cable side of things was utterly delightful for my brief sojourn into cable television. The internet has been extraordinary, but the AT&T wireless continues to be the pits. It's very
and even beyond that, I don't want to have to subscribe to a particular mobile carrier to get my television service.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We've already had that with cable.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just that is limiting choice, and that doesn't work. If Sling TV were only available on T-Mobile, then I would not be a very big fan of it, even though I have T-Mobile service, because I'm like, well, not everybody can get it. I can't recommend it to people.
Right.
So,
Right.
T-Mobile, by the way, giving away a free year of Hulu to new subscribers.
What does that cost? $20?
Yeah, right? I mean, that's smart.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know what we didn't do? Try to invent a new service. You know what we did do? We gave you a free year of Hulu,
Yep.
which is actually worth something.
Yep.
Yahoo wanted Cordkillers so bad it paid for a whole season of Community to be made, and its latest effort to win your love is a new app called Yahoo Video Guide for iOS and Android. You look for shows to watch. It'll find them among services you have installed on your phone, like HBO, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, and it'll even launch those apps for you. It's very slick. It looks nice. It works well.
And it's out, and you're like, will you use this? Because on the one hand, I don't know that I want to buy into an Yahoo ecosystem. I saw a headline saying that investors want to slash 75% of what Yahoo does and just do search. I'm like, that's a great idea. You should probably do that.
Forget that. That's all about. That's a financial thing, and that won't even happen for a year, and it has to do with Alibaba stock. That won't affect your usage or not usage of this for now. You're not moving. The thing is that they're not going into an ecosystem. They did it right. They said, look, you have Hulu, Netflix, and HBO installed, so we'll search those because those are the ones you have. That makes sense to me. My only problem is that they only do this on the phone. I kind of want it on the desktop as well.
I was thinking if it happened on the TV, it'd be great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what? I'm actually going to side with Yahoo on this. I'm going to say do one thing, get it right, and then maybe move it out from there. Because to be honest, I'll be surprised if my children really care about the difference between watching on the small screen and the big screen for another 5 years or so. It's like for everybody up and coming, the small screen is going to be where they view more and more of their content.
Sure, but if I'm sitting at a laptop and I want to use Yahoo Guide, I won't because I can't. You just limited me there, and there's no reason not to do a web version of it. Come on,
I mean, it takes resources. It's the difference between doing one thing very well and doing everything kind of well, right? And so, if you're limited on resources, my guess is, especially for something experimental, if I was in charge of this project, I would want them to do one thing well.
If I don't want as many people to use it as possible, you're right.
I would have started with the TV. I mean, that's where I would have started.
I think they played this just right for what it is. Hey man, Mystery Science Theater raised a record-breaking $5.76 million on Kickstarter towards 14 episodes, including a Christmas special. The new MST3 case will star Felicia Day, Jonah Ray, and Patton Oswalt, and Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland are tapped to write. I got to tell you, I'm excited for our friend Felicia Day. I'm excited for all these names that I really dig, but I'm in love with the idea of Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland throwing some of that Rick and Morty rocket sauce into MST3K land. What about you, Hammond?
I am really excited about this. I'm just interested in where they're going to distribute it.
Who cares? Who cares?
Well, if you're a Kickstarter backer, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
At the if you're a Kickstarter backer at the proper level, you get the shows. I think that as long as they don't distribute it in some weird place, which I think is right for you to ask the question, some weird place that I have, Go 90 or something like that, where I'm locked down, or AT&T's new wireless only service. I don't much care where they distribute it as long as it's widely available.
I tell you
it was
what,
just a question.
It's a fair question. I think they did this note perfect though.
Yes.
They said, look, I'm Joel. You remember me. You love MST3K. Help me make it. And then they got to 1 million and they said, I know you're a little nervous about me saying we were going to cast other people. Well, let me tell you who one of those people is. The person who is among the most beloved on the internet, Felicia Day. Oh, and one of the most hilarious people in the world, in Jonah Ray. And then everybody's like, this is great. What an amazing idea. They get a couple million more and they go, oh, we know you all love Patton Oswalt. Let's put him in there. And then the icing on the cake is Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland. I mean, I couldn't have planned it better. I couldn't have made it up better myself.
Yeah. Nope. Very well done.
Sling TV's Spanish language packaging, Sling Latino, is adding local broadcast feeds from Univision and Unimas. This would be the first local broadcast to be added to Sling TV. I could not find any explanation on Sling's site or in any of these stories which local markets would get it, but sort of remembering that we talked about Univision's own $6 a month service giving you local news in New York, Los Angeles, and Houston, I'd say that's a pretty good guess.
Yeah, oh, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about it from that angle. Do you think that means incoming local feeds for everything, or?
It's easier to go to Univision and say, hey, you've got a niche market. You're launching your own service. You obviously get the idea of reaching out to people through other channels. We'd just love to carry that and give you a cut of our money. And Univision said yes. I don't know if it's replicable across other networks.
Hammond, how much Univision do you watch?
Not nearly enough.
I
Correct
agree.
answer is nada.
Hey, Google updated its Google Play app for iOS to include AirPlay, so you can now send your Google Play videos to your 3rd or 4th generation Apple TV. See, this is what happens when you all work together. Be friends. Be friends.
Yeah. No, good job. Nice job. Good for people to know. And that is a look at that. Let's see what's under surveillance.
That's my tagline. Put that on my tombstone. That was a look at that.
Hey, you know what that was?
Under surveillance.
That was me looking at that. The Leftovers was just renewed for a 3rd and final season, Brian, and I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, that's a statement you just said out loud without irony because you meant it, which is not something anybody thought that they would see from you just a scant 3 months ago, right?
I had very big problems with the first half of season 1. I was mollified by the second half of season 1, but I really liked season 2.
Well,
I thought it fixed a lot of the problems of season 1 and made season 1 worth watching and had some excellent storytelling. And knowing that they only have one more season, I am much more confident that they are going to deliver me just punch after punch rather than holding back on stories. And I can't wait to see what they come up with.
I was talking to Justin about The Leftovers, and I had to explain, like, here's the thing. Season 2 is so good that you can watch it just by itself, but it's so good that you will just end up going back and watching season 1 anyway because season 2 is so good. Season 1 is good enough that if I promise you season 2 is great, that it'll all pay off. It's a weird kind of mushy place to pitch it, but I do know that season 2 of The Leftovers was just exquisite human storytelling. Loved it, everything about it.
Did you watch Leftovers, Hammond?
I didn't, and I'm kind of embarrassed. I actually know someone who is in the cast. She's friends of mine from college in cast of season 2, and I'm kind of embarrassed I haven't watched it yet.
So how was Liv Tyler back in the day?
No, her name is Catherine Willis. She played Violet's mom, I think.
Oh, okay, right on. Very cool.
Yeah. Well, you are one of the guilty remnant who hasn't watched it yet.
That's right. Yeah, he needs to be made to remember.
Adam Sandler's Ridiculous 6 movie is available on Netflix all over the world in more than 60 countries, released all at once. It's a satirical Western which stars Taylor Lautner, Steve Buscemi, Rob Schneider, obviously Adam Sandler.
Yes, indeed. Talk to me about this Netflix documentary.
There's a trailer out for Netflix's 10-part documentary, Making a Murderer. It's about Stephen Avery, someone who spent 18 years in prison and then was exonerated on DNA evidence, and then after he was released, was brought up on suspicion of murder again. And I guess that's what we'll all be doing on December 18th, is sitting down at home and watching Netflix.
Man,
I'll do that for you guys. I'll take that bullet.
Yeah, thanks. Is that just because he looks like you with a longer beard? This is serial fever, and I'm really conflicted about how I feel about entertainment docudramas, or I guess documentaries. Meddling in the affairs of real stuff because they have a position, and that's to make people entertained. And as much as I really dug watching the Jinx, as much as I really dug listening to Serial, I found it very troubling and problematic that we're dealing with justice in an entertainment format. That feels strange to me, and I don't know. I'm conflicted about it, is all I'm saying.
I think the coolest thing about that reaction, Brian, is that you're not talking about, is Netflix doing the right thing? What has Netflix done now? This story is no longer about Netflix. It's like, oh, HBO is doing the Jinx. What do we think of the Jinx? Like you're saying, all right, Making a Murderer is coming out. Well, that's an interesting series. What do I think of that?
Yeah.
Like the story is no longer about, it goes back to the Golden Globe story. It's no longer about this streaming service is trying this thing. Like it's just a network.
Yeah. No, I guess that's right. That like the news is that it's not news, that it's on Netflix. That's amazing.
Hammond, what do you think of this idea, this 10-part documentary series? Do you like true crime stuff like this?
I do. I think it's I'm extremely interested in this, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. I heard about this a little while ago, and I'm super excited about it.
And that's what Netflix is doing, is coming up with things to play to all fields. So in that case, it's still pretty good. Let's start with you, Hammond. What have you been watching lately?
I watched Man in the High Castle with my wife, and she and I both really, really loved it. And been watching Flash and the Arrow, and I'm about halfway through Jessica Jones. But I have to admit, it's really, really hard to watch because it's kind of grim.
I didn't mind the grimness of it. Listen to our spoiler in time episodes about it. Good news? ? Gets way less grim in the last 5 episodes by my watch. I mean, I was certainly less on edge going into that phase.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see, Hammond, if you feel like it lightens up as much as Brian did in those last episodes. I felt it was fairly bright compared to Daredevil all the way through, but it's certainly more grim than, say, Flash or Arrow, which I think are killing it this season. Like every episode, I'm surprised. I used to watch them because I thought they were pretty good for network superhero shows, and now I think they're doing some of the best television involving superheroes that has been done.
Yeah, and I've been enjoying Jessica Jones, and it's I watch it when I'm on the elliptical, and when I'm done, I'm not just like tired because I've been running, but I'm also tired because I'm kind of just worn out from watching.
Yeah,
so I'm interested to see how it wraps up.
How many
you guys
episodes
say there's a rainbow?
How many episodes in are you?
I think 6.
All right.
5, 6, somewhere like that.
Yeah, no, I was still very invested back then. Those were good times. Episode 5, episode 6.
Brian, I know you watched Fargo and Transparent.
Yeah, and that is pretty much it.
I took your line,
open secret on the internet. Justin and I are working on a pretty cool project that we're really, really excited about. Details will be coming soon.
I watched the Michael Bublé Christmas special. Mostly I played Hearthstone while it was on.
Isn't Hearthstone one of the best? Like, because it's essentially chess and there's a significant amount of waiting. It's the perfect thing to watch something else while you're doing. And
especially something like a music special, right? Where you don't have to follow a plot or anything.
Yes, correct. And as a matter of fact, it's only when you're faced with like a complicated round on Hearthstone that I'll pause everything. I'm like, all right, everybody shut up. I got to think. I'm like, all right, let's go back to watching. Everything's fine.
I also watched a couple of Graham Nortons, which, again, he's just hilarious. He had Tom Hanks on with Peter Capaldi. Like, I don't know how he does it, getting these guests to just hang out with each other and talk. It's hilarious. Star Wars Rebels, starting to acknowledge not only pieces of the original trilogy and prequel trilogy, but also bits of the comics that are supporting it with Kanan, which won't bother you if you're not reading the comics, but it's just a nice little extra bit in there for those of us who are. And the Doctor Who finale, I felt, made the Doctor Who episode 2 weeks ago, where we lost our companion Clara, make a lot more sense. I feel like the last 2 episodes, they kind of slipped, I think because they weren't sure if Jenna Coleman was going to stay through the whole season or not. And the last 2 episodes were some of the strongest Stephen Moffat era episodes that I've seen. So I really liked that. Let's see what's on the lookout. You got something for us, Bryce.
Yeah, hey, so I actually realized that Ayaz had touched upon this last week in his little feature that he made for us, but Interstellar is now available to Hulu and Amazon Prime subscribers. So you do have to be a previously Hulu Plus, or you do have to have Amazon Prime. It's kind of a big movie from November 2014, directed by Christopher Nolan, starring Matthew McConaughey. He's an ex-pilot who must leave his family and Earth behind to lead an expedition beyond the galaxy to discover whether mankind has a future among the stars. It is almost 3 hours long, and it is totally worth it.
Yeah, and weirdly, you would think this is the kind of movie that you would only want to watch in a theater for its big, sweeping, epic, intergalactic visuals. Strangely, I liked it even more upon a second viewing at home with the family because there are so many personal elements to it. The score is haunting. That stark organ in the blackness of space just sounds like it's choking all around you. It is wonderful. I really, really dig it. I think it was unfairly maligned by people who were expecting it to be something than what it was at the time. I think it's delightful. One of my favorite movies of that year.
Yeah. So that's Interstellar on Hulu and Amazon Prime subscriptions.
Let's move on because we have dispatches from the front. We have a plea, Brian and Hammond. Carl pleads with us. My email should be reaching you in time for the last episode before the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens. I'm sure that you'll be going to see it on release day, and I need to ask you for a solemn promise. Help me, Brian Brushwood. You're my only hope. He doesn't write that part. He says, please do not spoil. And he goes into I know that you're going to see it and there's other places and you'll want to drop little tidbits here and there as you skirt around important plot points. And he says, if you don't think you'll be able to contain yourself, please tell me now and I'll hold off on watching Cordkillers until the new year. I will promise to not spoil elements of Star Wars The Force Awakens outside of spoiler in time. And he even said that. It's okay to spoil it on spoiler in time. That's okay.
Yeah, man. Look, here's the thing. I am going to have to turn off Twitter on starting, 48 hours from now? I think on Wednesday. I'm just going to have to turn it off because there's going to be major elements. And if I want to go in completely undisturbed, I'm going to have to shut everything down. I mean, certainly during the show, we're not going to talk about specific plot elements or give winks or any of that stuff. But outside of that, man, I don't know. If you stand next to me and you get kind of an annoyed vibe, is that me spoiling how I felt about the movie I saw the night before? I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's a hard for me sometimes because saying something that, first of all, saying something that is in the trailer is apparently not okay because there's people not watching the trailers, and saying that when they were in space, people are like, wait, hold on, the way you said that led me to believe. So I don't know, maybe I just won't ever say anything about it until after the first of the year, unless it's in spoiler in time. Hammond, is that crazy?
That's not crazy. I don't feel the same way about spoilers as many people do. I will see it anyway, and I don't know. I guess I just don't have the chip on my shoulder about spoilers that some people do.
Yeah.
I never have.
Well, apparently Merc Guy is in it, and Anakin Vader's head shows up, but that's all I know. Jacob wrote in and said, I think a lot of the hype surrounding Star Wars comes from the fact that people grew up with it, and as children, we're much more forgiving and think things are much cooler. My generation actually has something similar to this, Harry Potter. He talks about how excited they are about the possibility of a new Harry Potter movie. He says, I'm not complaining, and I'm not asking you guys to stop. I just think it's interesting from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah, man, it's difficult because it's I don't know how much of it is fueled by nostalgia. All I know is how I feel right now, and it's pretty freaking rad. Pump me full of more of that, Doc. That's all I say.
I know lots of it is fueled by nostalgia. I don't know if that's most, all, whatever.
Well, and what's funny
what's
weird is it's the nostalgia is for the last time I was fueled by nostalgia. It's like, oh man, I remember being hyped for the prequels before I found out they totally sucked. It's like, what if the prequels are good? Oh, I get to have that experience. It's like in 20-year cycles, I'm like, maybe this time it'll be like I'm 8 again.
Well, the idea of seeing R2-D2 again, even in the prequels, still thrilled me. Right?
Could not care less. Bloop, bloop,
no,
bloop,
loved
bloop.
it. Loved it.
Set
Absolutely.
fire to all those assholes. I don't want to see them again. Everyone from the old series, even Harrison Ford, I was like, all right, I'll put up with him. I'm ready for a new story. I'm ready for new everything, expanded universe. Hey, Stan Cook says, how can we make an argument for ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox to stream their programming on demand? Now we record their shows and blow by the commercials with the 30-second forward button. Streaming on demand, we're forced to watch the commercials. Try to fast forward, and they make you watch another commercial. Would that not be a good selling point to their clients? Best regards, Stan. Here's the thing, is you have that thing. They're saying if you want that kind of experience, but on the other box, you're going to have to do this, jump through this other set of hoops. I mean, it's that simple, right, Tom?
Well, yeah, and it's about the amount of advertising money they can make. If that was the way they could make most of the money, that's what they would do. The digital advertising hasn't totally transferred over yet. In fact, I was reading a study that said like they think by 2017, digital advertising will finally outweigh television advertising, which basically means it's 50-50. So if that's the world we're in, they want you to watch the stuff that they're comfortable tracking, the stuff that they're comfortable selling first. And then the people who won't do that, they'll try to sell advertising on digital, but it's still a harder sell and it's getting easier all the time. But yeah, I mean, it's not that they're idiots and they don't know that this would work. It's that there aren't enough people that this would reach yet.
Yeah. Mark says, if NBC wants me to fork over $4 a month for their streaming comedy service, hoo-ha, and he points out hoo-ha may not be the name for their service, but it might as well be.
It's CISO, but it's close.
CISO, there's only one way for me to get it to happen. Stream all of David Letterman's late night and his morning show, and I will gladly subscribe. What's the over-under on that happening, Tom?
Nah, I was curious if Worldwide Pants owns late night with David Letterman, or NBC owns late night, or it's co-owned, and they both have to sign off on it because that was David Letterman's production company.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, they'll get Mark. I don't know how many other people that would get, but if it was an easy get, I'd say, yeah, throw it in there, long tail it. Why not?
Yeah, I think if they own it, then there's no reason not to throw that on there. And then especially now that his show is over, what if you could just look him in the eye like, hey, everyone who likes David Letterman, how'd you like 3 hours of Letterman a day, every day for the next 7 years?
Well, that's the thing, is that's a lot of content to just put into the service. It's already a lot of SNL in there.
Yeah.
Like to put in a 4 times a week nightly show that was very topical.
But and keep in mind, one of the restrictions on it is that Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller was talking on his podcast about how half of the episodes that feature Penn and Teller back from the 1980s of Saturday Night Live, they cannot re-air because they will not pass standards and practices because now they have license agreements and they can't show X, Y, and Z. It might be the kind of thing where that freewheeling David Letterman-ness of About the Late Show just flat out can't be under the NBC brand anymore.
Or even more, they're just like, you know what? We'd have to go through and clear all those again.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we could digitize them. That's an upfront cost. But man, just going through legal, forget it.
Yep.
It's not worth it.
I totally believe it.
Hey, Byron, like myself, got YouTube Red because he subscribed to Google Music All Access and thinks that was really smart of Google. He writes, the way they did this reminds me of when I had my 4-disc-a-month Netflix account in college, and then they introduced streaming, which eventually led to my streaming-only account, or my Amazon Prime account that I started for shipping that also led to yet another streaming account I use on most of my devices.
Brilliant insight. Niall says, I think Brian asked about this, but it might have been someone else on one of Tom's other shows. I think it was me because we were talking about playing stuff at faster than regular speed. He says, I never speed up the playback of a podcast I'm intimately familiar with because the change in voices messes with my head. However, when I start listening to a new podcast, I've been in the habit of playing it at around 1.25x so I get the efficiency, and my mind thinks the host voices sound like that from the very start. So thanks for the show, guys. As a big podcast and audiobook listener, just 1.25x, everybody can make that jump. Just try that on all your stuff, and I think you'll dig it as much as I do.
I 2x all my podcast, and then I talk like this for people who also 2x all their podcasts, so it sounds really bad to them. How do you think it works, Hammond?
I've actually tried the 2x thing because you've mentioned that before, and I've tried it, and I just my brain just doesn't listen that fast.
Well, and there's different people though. There's certain people that, for example, Harmontown is an interesting one because so much of what they do is improvised. I intentionally listen to it at 1.25x specifically so I can create the illusion of them being even sharper with improvisation than they actually are. I'm like, wow, that is some amazing freestyle rap. And then when I listen to it regular speed, I'm like, oh yeah, you can rhyme mouth with south if you have that much more time to come up with it, you know.
I wonder if that's why I think We Have Concerns is so funny.
I listen to them at 1.25x as well.
I listen to them at 2x.
Oh, wow. I can't even imagine.
They're freaking brilliant at 2x. Hammond, thank you so much for joining us again. You have some fantastic podcasts out there that people should absolutely check out. Tell them where to find them.
I do Beyond the Playlist with J Hammond C, and you can find that on iTunes and Stitcher and at jhammondc.com. And I also do Grumpy Cast with Daryl Skeels, and now Joey Image is part of our crew.
So Beyond the Playlist, fantastic show to get to know people. I've been lucky enough to be on it. Brian's been lucky enough to be on it. And of course, Grumpy Cast. If you don't like hearing some friendly grumpy guys be grumpy about something, well, I don't know what's wrong with you. You're like over grumpy.
Yeah, man.
So go check them out. And our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I still am really excited about seeing Han Solo and Carrie Fisher. So there.
It's fine. It's fine.
Brian thinks I'm dumb, though.
No, they're fine. I just pretend you're dumb about Star Wars.
It's not pretending.
Hey, guys. Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
let's go.
It's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.